So, the movie I decided to watch for this inaugural episode, Avatar 2009. Not to be confused with Avatar 2010, the live-action adaptation of Avatar The Last Airbender 2005. My only exposure to Avatar up until yesterday when I watched it for the first time was the Avatar 2009 PSP game. That game kind of ruled. But, first time seeing this here, I liked it. I think it was a very, not run-of-the-mill, but quality, big budget, box office movie.
Give a rating out of 10, John. Out of 10.
All right, I will make it very clear at the start here. I'm not a fan of numerical ratings. I don't attribute them to like.
All right, then A through Z.
But
invent your own scale.
Yeah, but for the sake of clarity, like humans love categorization. So, 7 out of 10. Very quality. Not average, but standard, good film.
All right, Nate, you want to go second or you want me to give my thoughts?
You can go ahead and then I'll go third.
All right. I've upon rewatching Avatar, because I had seen it in theaters in 3D. That was like the huge thing. I remember
what an honor.
It was like the first 3D movie I saw where it had the clear glasses. And I was like, what the fuck? How did that was just working right now?
That's right. It was when 3D was becoming cool again. So
that's why I think half the reason why it got so huge and it not a lot of people remember it is because they did so much for 3D. It was really, really well made CG, but it was also 3D. And it was the first time that really had been done. And it also had come out in a time where there wasn't $1 billion Marvel movie every 10 months. So it was this was the movie that came out in the decade that was, $1 billion to make or whatever the fuck it was.
The beginning of the end.
Yeah, it was at a time when blockbusters there was a Blockbuster and then there was other
Blockbusters had to be good,
Yeah, and now everything is kind of just a Blockbuster.
Just streamlined.
Now movies don't have to make. Well, no. Now movies do have to make $1 billion at the box office to succeed.
It it was a solid movie. It was definitely better than I remembered it because there was all the memes about name one character from Avatar.
Yeah, but, it is hard to do that though.
All right, name three characters off the rip.
1 out of 10, Sam. What do you got?
I can't remember the guy's first name, but Suli. They keep saying
the main character's name is Chris, I think.
No, it's not. Because of the J.
Oh shit, Josh, baby.
Is it Josh?
I just watched it yesterday.
It is Jake Sully.
No.
His English name is Jake Sully, but his Na'vi name is Jake Sully.
That is one of the worst part of the movie is naming anything.
No, that's the funny thing is because this is very nitpicky, but they hear him pronounce it Jake Sully. And then they pronounce it as if they were reading it, they read it wrong. They already heard how to pronounce it, and they call him Jake Sully.
Jake Sully.
Unobtanium,
Yeah, 7 out of 10. That's my final rating. Better than I remembered. A very solid movie. It was a good ass movie. I'll just say that.
Good ass movie.
Yeah, Nate.
All right, I'll go next. Yeah,
I feel like a 7 out of 10. Doesn't equal good ass movie. I feel you have two different.
I think 7 out of 10 is above average. It's where it's good.
Average is fine. That's a good.
I can watch it.
Ratings.
Good ass movie is 8.5.
It's super
above,
subjective. Maybe an 8. I could see an 8.
As this goes on, as this podcast goes on, we. Have
you're thinking in the future.
We have to establish a system. You can't just say it's a good ass movie when it's a 7 out of 10.
There's gonna have to be retcons.
I could already see the comments.
It's our scale.
Complaining about you.
No, average is 5 because everybody says any movie they like is a 10 out of 10. And then when an actual 10 out of 10 movie comes along, you've just completely ruined the value.
Okay, so if average is 5, then 6 is good, and then 7 is
pretty solid.
Or whatever.
Pretty solid.
Movie.
That's why I like the 5-star scaling, if anything. I think 5 is
I'd say pretty solid.
All right, then.
Yeah, but then people just use 3.5 and 4.
It's
the same exact thing.
It ends up being the same.
All right, we'll iron this out.
Yeah.
I want to get the opening thoughts first.
All right, go ahead, Chris, since you decided you wanted to talk.
No, go ahead. I needed to establish like a basis for what we're doing here.
I personally 100% agree with the 7 out of 10. I was actually shocked because I remember as a kid not being into like the beginning at all and thinking it was really boring until like the big climactic end. But it was very streamlined and actually felt really quick. Like I didn't feel like it took 2 hours to watch it. I definitely agree with the 7 out of 10 because it was like a very beautiful movie. So I liked it for sure. You go ahead, Chris.
As someone who hasn't watched a movie in
11 years.
Very
11 years.
13 years.
As a kid, I felt like it was like just another movie, and I don't know if it deserved the hype. In my head, it didn't deserve the hype because like I don't like remember it very fondly. But I don't think it's fair for me to like give it a 1 out of 10 right now though.
He was right. He was like, I don't remember it being pretty good.
I don't think it's fair to give it like a solid rating without having seen it recently. Is what I mean.
Oh.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
I respect it. I will say, but I respect it.
I think the movie is like 2 hours and 20 minutes, so it really isn't that long.
It's 240
anymore. Yeah, it's definitely not that bad. It seemed ridiculous.
It's 240, John.
It's 240. Yeah, at least like
oh shit.
I watched it on.
It doesn't
iTunes,
feel that long though.
And
you watched it on iTunes.
I watched it. I like iTunes. But
you have Disney Plus?
No, but
I don't know. iTunes still do that.
It's 2 hour 41. What am I being shamed for here? iTunes.
I don't know. Is this still a thing?
I'm living like it's 2009, baby.
Yeah, you gotta watch it in an outdated format.
That's the only true way to watch it.
It's like watching old movies on like film. It's to watch any like 2009 movie on iTunes.
Get off my back. But it's 2 hours 41, but that's also including credits, so it's probably around like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
But I would say though it is a mostly brisk 2.5 hours. Like the pacing is pretty good. The only place I would say I felt it, and not even like to a like, oh my god, like a slogging sort of degree, was after like their tree gets destroyed, and I was like, oh my god, there's an hour left. I was like, oh my god. It seemed like that was gearing up for the third act. And it's like the first 4-act movie.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. The movie, the way I remember, I had this thought in my head that it was way longer, but maybe that's just because I was a kid. But you're right, the pacing is pretty solid. The only thing that I really thought is that they drug on, and this is absolutely like an aftermath of it being a 3D movie, is like the establishing shots, or when they'd introduce an animal, the scene would go on for like 30 more seconds than it needed to. Just because they're like panning in on the thing, and they're like, "Whoa, look at this! Look how crazy it is!"
Lots of
and like watching it, watching it on my TV, it's like, what? Like, why isn't this like cut down? Like,
they're just this movie animation.
Well, I think part of that was that the animation was so nice back then that probably looked sick, and now that it's not as nice anymore, you're kind of like, why the fuck? Why are they showing me this? You know, it's good. I thought the movie was still like, especially for 2009, I thought it looked amazing.
Dude. That hangs up today, dude. If that movie came out today, I'd be like, that's pretty solid.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm excited for the new one. But
yeah,
I would say something that I think I noticed that about it being streamlined. Like, it feels like it goes by a lot quicker than I remembered. But something I noticed now that I definitely didn't notice as a kid is especially in the beginning, like the dialogue was super like quick, and it felt very written. Like the first time you see Soldier Guys, he's on the wheelchair and he's like, "Look at Meals on Wheels over here." And the other guy's like, "Wow, that's messed up." And it's like, wow, that is the most fake dialogue I've ever heard. And I really feel like that's how it feels for the whole beginning until like the doctor lady comes in, because like that actor just kind of does it really well, so you could tell it's a little more performed. But that was just something funny I noticed rewatching it.
Yeah.
I don't think I can remember like a single scene other than what takes place in what's the world called?
Oh, what is
Pandora.
it?
No,
Pandora. Yeah, why did I forget?
Oh
Yeah, well, I don't
It's
remember
just random guy.
I literally cannot tell you a single scene that happens out of that, and I feel like
The whole movie
at least
takes
like
place
half the movie takes place like well, I feel like there's a lot of like beginning stuff, and like,
You would be shocked. The first 30 minutes, I don't think they're there, but it just goes by so fast you don't realize 30 minutes went by.
I could not tell
you.
you a single thing that happens to like the actual human being behind the.
It's a lot of getting you up to speed, but it doesn't feel like very exposition-y.
I will say I think it was a very interesting concept from the start. Like it does, like I said, the dialogue was very like snappy. It is kind of like the setup for the modern Marvel movies and stuff we watch now. Like that's kind of how they got that. But it catches me right away. It is very interesting idea with his brother dying and stuff, and him being the perfect avatar for the. It's very interesting.
Yeah, dude. There's the one scene I remember, like after the first time he goes to sleep and wakes up as like the human guy again. He immediately looks at his legs, and I'm like, "Fuck,
Oh yeah,
that must suck." I literally like felt that. I was like, "Oh no."
I always thought he was trying to get up too. Like he tried to like get out of bed like you would when you wake up, but he couldn't.
Oh, yeah.
So he just like.
Yeah, I was like, "Fuck, man."
That would mess you up, man.
It's not too dissimilar to like other mech kind of concepts. The link of a human and typically a robot, but in this case like a biological being. But what I think is cool is how it's differentiated here is that typically, the pilot, as it would be, is inside of the mech. I mean, that very same thing exists in this movie. I'm just gonna
the weird mech thing.
I'm just gonna refer to them as the United States because, like, even though this is
You
like
mean
just
not
humanity,
United States, man.
You could say Earth. You could say Earth.
The humans
The
here
villain,
are like,
United
they're
States,
just
man.
the United
The
States.
human army is coming at us.
The United
The
States
sky-
Army
the sky
invading
people.
Pandora.
They all speak
Sky
English.
people.
The one guy looks like the patriotic, like generic villain in every movie. Like it's not very secretive.
But what I
You
think,
gotta call them the Sky People. That's what they keep calling them.
What was the villain's name? The guy with the soldier guy, Colonel Colonel Man, right?
Colonel Sergeant.
Colonel
We'll just call
Man,
him Colonel.
Colonel Sergeant. Yeah, Colonel Sergeant.
but what I was getting at was that I thought it was really interesting that instead of like the pilot existing within of the avatar itself, they are two separate. They're like it's remote controlled, but they are separate from each other. So like there are multiple instances where Jake Sully will like collapse onto the ground and like he has to. There's a predicament with him in his own body, which I thought made for some pretty good moments.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
it's a cool
definitely-
concept.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Very interesting concept. What do you think, Chris?
I
I want to
have
see
no
if you
opinion
remember.
on this matter.
Like, do you remember that part of the movie, Chris? Like, they go to sleep, but there's like a neural link, like,
Yeah,
kinda,
I
like,
mean,
in between bodies.
I don't know if I did like. I mean, obviously there has to be like some sort of connection, but like I don't remember them like. Did they get like placed in a chamber or something?
They go to like a tanning bed.
Like a sleeping sleep tanning bed.
I'm
They
not
come out
lying.
there and they're
Come on,
Guidos.
they're boys.
Yeah.
They come
The
out with
Navi.
the tank top on and like jeans.
There are a lot of tank tops in this movie too. Like everybody's wearing tank. Not everybody.
Yeah, they have the fucking.
There is a lot of tank tops in
There
this
are a lot of
movie.
tank
I
tops.
didn't think about that till you mentioned that. That is very soldier like. So like when I think of tough military men, I think of tank
Yeah.
tops.
When you're
So-
yeah.
tank tops and TRT.
yeah, tank tops and TRT.
No steroids in this movie though.
Dude,
That we
that
know
colonel was absolutely juiced, bro. I don't
Guys,
know.
what about unobtanium, guys? That's the best
that okay?
thing ever invented.
They couldn't be fucked to think of just some name. They had to call it unobtainium.
There was something else they name dropped in the movie, and it was just as bad as unobtainium. Oh, Shuli. It's this like I don't know why they sucked at naming things. Like, did they think
James-
people would forget?
There's
James
a
Cameron couldn't be
a
fucked.
Navi adjacent word. Suli is one of them. I don't know.
Dude, like, just call it. Just say it was gold, dude. Like, why does it have to be unobtainium? It could have been
I
gold
mean-
or oil. Like, what the hell?
You're supposed to think that it could be anything. Oh, you don't know what it could be.
And
Could
they
it be
show you
oil?
it.
Could it
It's
be
like
gold? You don't
It's
know.
a black rock. They show you it. It's just like this little thing.
Some ugly ass rock.
No, wait. Did they explain what is so important about it? Is it just akin?
Yeah,
to,
that's what I was gonna ask.
Oh my god,
What
they
is
say it.
unobtainium?
They say it
I
in
know
the
exactly.
beginning. They say it in the beginning. What was it?
It's
It was
it's very straight up exposition. This is like the kind of like the
energy
only
thing,
part where
right?
they
Yeah,
do
they
it.
only
No,
mention it once.
No.
Just
They,
1
they-
ounce can produce all the energy to
No.
to provide the Earth for 3.
No.
Chris, that's
it's
four
not
other
even-
movies.
He's
it's
writing
not even
Avatar
no-
3. Oh my god.
It's not even noble like that. The guy picks it up and goes, "Have you forgot why we're here? This stuff, unobtainium, is worth $20 million a gram." It's like,
They just
okay.
want to be
It's only worth money. It doesn't have
Yeah,
any
it's like,
actual
that's it.
value.
There's
That's
no.
literally
But,
it. Like, they're just gonna flood the market, and it's not gonna be worth anything.
it's made
Yeah,
of money.
exactly.
It's like
they're gonna flood the market
that's
with
just
their
like,
own
what do you
unobtainium.
think's gonna happen if you bring 20 million pounds
I
back?
swear he did mention it did something though, but I can't remember.
It's
like,
just worth money. No, you're trying to piece together something that makes sense. It's
but
just worth
well,
money.
it did make sense. It was just money. I mean, that is interesting. Like from a writing perspective, if they did that, like they just didn't told you why it was important. Tell you why it was important.
Yeah, I don't. There's a lot to be because like I don't see why the U.S. was the U.S. military hurting for money in this universe. I don't know.
I don't remember. I remember they explained why the Na'vi were so tough, and I remember thinking that was funny. It was just like they have carbon in their skin or something, like
Yeah, and
naturally.
they're like 9 feet tall.
Yeah, for whatever reason. I do think
I think that's a really cool, distinctive feature of them.
it was. Oh, I'm not. I like the design. It was really cool. I'm just making fun of
Yeah.
them.
But
But
just because the gravity was different, I think, is what they said.
oh yeah, that's right. There was a
Yeah.
reason for it. Their hair, and they use it to connect to the bird.
They have the
Right?
USB port
Right?
hair.
That was the USB port hair. I'm trying to remember exactly that scene, even though I just watched it, dude.
Yeah, that is
in-
pretty funny.
That's interesting because it's similar to what they're doing, pretty much. Like that was a very interesting another way to do like the mech type thing, or
Yeah,
what's it
Oh,
called?
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, there is.
What
a
were the
word.
birds called?
It's called. Well, it's the birds are banshees.
Oh yeah, it wasn't even hard. Yeah, Banshee.
I think Neytiri just refers to it as a bond, at least in English. But like, there's a Navi word for like the USB-C connection.
Yeah.
we should have studied Navi for the USB for this. We should have been more prepared.
Yeah, it is super funny. Like I remember thinking that's a little bit goofy, like because they just like grab two ends and like put them together, and
No,
then they
it
just
really,
pilot an
it
animal.
really weirdly like why would these two animals just grow the same type, like two things that go together? Like why would that genetically help
Yeah.
you in any way?
Life lives
Yeah.
in harmony on Pandora.
Yeah, I guess that's the case because they were
That
all
is-
set up like
That is what they said in the movie. So
Yeah,
Until the United States government showed up.
Not the United States.
undisclosed government shows up, steals everything,
yeah.
steals all of the oil like
All
mineral,
of the unobtainium.
all of the
Dude.
unobtainium.
It was pretty funny how like at the very end they're like the Na'vi are just getting dicked on the whole movie, and then like as soon as they're like, oh yeah, well we have like space rhinos and space birds, and then all of a sudden like the military just gets fucked over and loses. Just
Well,
like,
I actually do think that's one interesting thing is that they talk about that the whole movie about how like the wilderness is like so hard to deal with and crazy, but like you don't see it until they come together, like, and they actually fight them together. I do think that was actually well set up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like all the ferocity of the wilderness is established pretty well.
Yeah, they talk about like the harmony of it, and but then you never see it do anything really, like other than that
Yeah.
one time it attacks him at the beginning, but that's just one dude, and
Yeah.
then they just
Well,
crush him at the end.
that's what the colonel talks about because he has that big scar.
Yeah, right in
He's
the
like,
beginning.
He's like 20 years of service. My first day on Pandora, I get this.
Yeah.
I have important news about unobtainium.
Oh,
Okay, so
Yeah, please don't
apparently there was a movie in 2003 that tried to use they tried to coin the word unobtainium, and I guess like among like directors or whatever.
It's
the
a
fuck.
joke.
No, not a joke, but it like they wanted it to be like a trend in movies. But then James Cameron used it in 2009 in Avatar, and then it just never got used again. So it was literally like, they were trying to start like a running joke or like
He
a
ruined the
trend,
joke.
but then it never happened. Yeah,
so
is crazy.
it's meant to be like just like akin to like a MacGuffin, you know?
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and it's a bit of a direct, like a writer's joke, I guess.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
It seems like they wrote that into the script as like, oh, this is a placeholder for another name,
Yeah,
and then the
for
movie got
sure.
made.
And then they were like, we gotta put
accidentally
this
sent the
out.
script.
Yeah,
they
they
accidentally
sent
sent
it.
it.
The script
then
was the
the-
last
this
thing
has
they
gotten
made.
made.
For the
And the guy was like, I really like this. Like, I really like that name. He was like, fuck.
And James Cameron's like, dude, I got like $1 billion of money with a deadline promised. We need to write a script right now.
They had
We do
all
not
of
have
the special effects
time.
and all of everything else. They shot stuff and they just made the script last.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, but that was like I don't know, it was pretty cool how like they kind of had to tame the animal first though. Like you kind of got like because they all the Navi keep talking about the whole movie how like everything's connected and like that everything like works together, and even when they kill the pack of wolves that's like attacking them, they feel pretty bad. So even when they go to like tame, like, you know, plug the USB ports in, you still have to like tame the animal first and get its respect. Like it isn't like you can't just like wrestle it and plug it in and then it's like yours.
You can't just catch it in a Pokeball and then it's yours.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You
it's
can't
pretty,
your Pokemon
cool.
beat up their Pokemon.
yeah. I'm trying to think what else, if there's anything else goofy. Because the goofiest part of the whole movie to me was when he's at the final battle and he's fighting like the mech suit with like a spear, and the gun gets disabled from his mech suit. So his mech has a knife in a sheath for whatever reason. He pulls like the combat knife out. It's like, I don't know why.
Why
like,
would it be designed like that?
Yeah, and how would a knife be better than just hitting something with a big robot arm? Like, I don't know. Like,
What if you have to have a big robot duel?
some things need to be sliced. Sam. You can't.
you like
Yeah.
why it's a knife? Like, what are you gonna do? Like, cut up like what do you like? Sharpen a spear? or
Maybe
something?
they used it to cut through the forest or something.
Yeah.
That's the only idea I could
That
think
actually, yeah,
That's
that would
possible.
make sense. Yeah,
of. That's the one reason I could
They,
think.
they, they, they did not think of that though while they were making.
They didn't think of that. I thought of that. So,
Yeah.
He
we'll give
needed
them
a
the
weapon.
benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
what'd you guys think of the acting in the movie? I thought they did pretty good for the most part. I think some of the
Yeah, I thought-
soldiers like could have been better, but they were also like not meant to be like well-rounded characters.
Who is
Yeah, it was
who's the
solid.
main dude? Who's the
Sam
Jigsaw?
Worthington.
He's a good actor. He's in a
Sam
bunch of stuff.
Worthington.
I like.
Because
Actually.
that's
I don't know about great. But
One thing I was aware of is that like I know like he hasn't really done a ton of things besides Avatar, but he seems like a pretty good actor. Like pretty
the
like
Avatar
good for,
probably ruined his career
ruined his career.
because he's only known for Avatar. He's the Avatar guy. You know, like it's you can't see him in anything else.
I feel like
Now-
if you have the opportunity to be known for like one specific thing, I feel like you just go for it. Like
Oh,
he's happy.
Have you guys heard this? Matt Damon was offered the leading role
Oh
in
my god!
Avatar,
I wish.
and he was offered 10% of the movie's. It might have been 20% of the movie's proceedings. Like
It would've been so
everything
much
the movie
money.
made, he offered 20%. Matt Damon turned it down, and I've seen him in interviews be like, "I would challenge you to find an actor who turned down more money than me." That movie made so much goddamn money.
Why did he turn it down? Just 'cause he
Imagine
wanted
if
he-
McConaughey was in it.
He just
How
like
crazy
didn't
would
want
that be?
like. He didn't explain it like a ton. I think it was just like, I don't want to do a blockbuster. Like I'd rather do like, you know, something a little bit more artsy or whatever.
He really fumbled the bag on that one.
You can kind of tell he
That's
probably
so much money.
he probably rescinded those thoughts because he was
He wanted to do Chainsaw Massacre 3, obviously. Better movie.
he was in Interstellar not that many years later, and then The Martian
7 years later.
after.
He
I
learned-
guarantee
he
you his
learned the
net
lesson
worth
to
is
know.
like 50 times that. So like, who really cares?
He honestly
doesn't
seems like
care.
the type of guy back then who would have been like, I don't want to be in a fucking nerdy sci-fi movie, and then it did really well and was like, oh shit.
Yeah, dude, that probably would have doubled his net worth. Like, and he's fucking Matt Damon. It's like, I don't even know. Like, if it happened to anybody other than Matt Damon,
Wait,
they would have killed
Matt
themselves.
Damon or Matthew McConaughey? I thought you said Matthew McConaughey for
Matt
some
Damon.
reason.
I do.
Oh fuck, I had it all mixed up. I was thinking Matthew McConaughey.
both featuring in Interstellar.
If it was Matthew McConaughey, that would have been way funnier, though. Imagine how much better the movie would have been. Like, just him doing it would be a lot cooler if you did.
Just, he has the keg party from Dazed and Confused with, like,
Yeah,
with the Navi.
The movie is actually just Dazed and Confused, but in the Navi world. on Pandora.
I stand with Stan Worthington. Sam Worthington. I'm a
I
Stan.
didn't even know his
Stan
name. Was that even his name?
Stan.
Are you sure?
Stan Worthington. Sam Worthington.
He yeah, I thought he did pretty good. None of the acting like blew me away, but none of it like made me be like, what the fuck? Like, how did this even get past like, anybody's eyes?
Actually, yeah, I agree. It wasn't like groundbreaking, but the CGI to like make the faces for the Na'vi were actually really good for that.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the things that really made the movie so good was the facial expressions on the Na'vi.
The CGI. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, no, because I was just saying it's a cool looking movie. That's all.
All of the water.
It is a cool looking movie.
100% of the water is CG, and like if you watch that, like that looks photo real.
Think about that.
That like the water, like I don't even know how the fuck you even make that, but it is like 100%. If you haven't seen, there's a really cool video of like guys who used to do like visual effects and like YouTube videos, and they'll bring in like people who worked on movies and they'll watch clips. And I remember watching one of them like talking about
I've
Avatar.
seen that.
Yeah, Corridor Digital. If you guys have ever heard of them, they used to make like skits back in the day. But they do that with like stuntmen and with like CGI. But it's like pretty cool to watch. But I remember them doing one on Avatar, and they're like, "What do you think is CG in this scene?" And everyone's like picking pieces out, and they're like, "Actually, it's all CG." They're like, "No, what about this?" And they're like, "Yeah, the water."
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
The CG water is pretty crazy because it just the way water moves is so complex. Like just digitally making that is insane. Like people could talk about that for hours. Like every so often they just remake water apparently in like CG.
There's so many like collisions. Like if it collides to something, then there has to be like collisions of the stuff that collided.
And the way light reflects off of it and through it and all that. Like you can do so much with water. So interesting. And like so many movies do it. Like
Avatar 2, The Way of Water.
It's gonna probably be exactly that. That's why they made the movie. We're like we're making water again, even more this time.
You thought there wasn't enough water?
You thought there was too much water? Think again.
Buckle up or strap in.
You better get your snorkel ready.
That's like the tagline on like a
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
It's like Sam Worthington pops up with a snorkel.
No,
dude, that's gonna be so. The movie's gonna be 10 minutes long. It's just like, yeah, the Americans brought air to surface missiles, so we're all dead.
Brought surfer missiles to
dude, if they have surfboards, oh my god, that's gonna be sick.
I want to know. They better surf in this movie if they're just gonna be all about the water. I'm gonna be honest though. Just from the trailers, this movie, the new one, looks like the first movie again.
What else?
I was gonna ask, how much information is like out about like the?
Well, he has a kid now, and that is the most interesting part about the new one. I don't know if it's a new planet or it's just another part of the planet they were already in.
Like without having watching any trailer for the new one, I assume
or the original,
be like or the original anytime, anywhere recently. But I assumed that it was gonna be like a new like character like going into it or like some sort of new story.
It's him and the same girl.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think the United States just comes back and tries to.
Well, they have a son. Well, now they need they need ungettable. They need the unget. Yeah, they need the ungettable.
Even more unobtainium.
readily obtainable.
even less obtainable. What the fuck were we talking about now? We started making
it's not black.
joke.
It's charcoal colored this time.
The setting of the next film
is in. It seems like it's in the ocean, kind of. Well, like I don't. Is it the same planet? Is it the same planet still? Is it still Pandora?
It definitely is. Yeah.
They make reference to the tribe or the clan of people that live, or of Na'vi that live at like the East Sea.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's how. Like, why would I remember that? But they.
Avatar is always on my mind.
You know what they could do? There's a line. There's only one line that addresses this. The daughter, I can't remember her name. The main girl character, Na'vi,
Neytiri.
Neytiri mentions
the actor
that they are not the first sky people that they've encountered. So this could be like another alien
Oh.
race coming in.
Oh.
I
Oh, we
caught
get the
that and I was
prequel?
like, no, it's not
I
definitely
never
not a
even-
prequel.
Well,
No,
the,
because he has-
prequel-
it's
the
the
prequel's
same-
the third movie.
Ah,
It could be
okay, I see.
interesting if they did
Yeah,
that.
of course.
But yeah, that's you reminded me what was I was going to say. The most interesting part about the new one for me coming out is that he has a son, and I'm wondering what they're going to do with that, like where that's
Yeah.
going to lead, because they clearly they want him to have a kid for a reason. Like I want to know what they're going to do with that.
How does the love interest story end? Because I don't remember that.
They fuck on
They
their
fuck.
holy tree. It's
Yeah.
really, it's kind of weird. I
Okay,
don't
but
know,
like, is it like a happy
very
end?
hot.
Like, did they end up like, oh, I have to
Yeah.
go back to the human world, and then
No,
There's
that's
no
actually
going
one of the
back.
interesting parts.
Yeah, yeah.
His human body dies, right?
They,
Yeah.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
to
they-
spoil it, Chris.
They send him back to the tree. They return his soul to the tree.
Yeah. They basically
so
lay
he's
the,
perma
like,
blued.
yeah, perma blue.
Oh.
He's perma-blued.
Oh my!
Yeah, they basically like transfer his consciousness by putting him on a bunch of tree roots, and then they like
Yeah.
yell at some stuff, and it's like,
Well,
oh,
that's
yeah, I guess
'cause
this
that
works.
goes to like the connection thing again, and I guess like it somehow did
Yeah.
the transfer one more time. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the more interesting parts of the movie is when he gives up his real body to stay in that body.
Yeah,
I mean, I-
and I
alright.
didn't. Okay, John, go ahead.
Getting it out of the way. Option to be a Navi, I'd take it.
Probably. I mean,
glad-
they're just
like, well,
cooler humans.
I would leave
I
this
was-
corporeal
Oh.
form.
If I was stranded
have
on
that
the
tail
planet
would be
with
10
no way
feet
to
tall.
breathe,
It's not fully a happy ending though, Chris, because they lose that tree in the end. Remember when they take it down, and that kind of like takes away their whole home pretty much when they destroy that tree. So that's why they're like leaving.
But,
in the
but
new
does the
one.
movie end with the main character holding
With
the
her-
hand
yeah.
of his love interest
It-
as they
probably-
walk off in search of a
Yes.
new home?
no,
Yeah, I
No,
think so.
but like,
Is it not? I don't remember.
it ends in kind of like a cool like Blockbuster 2009 shot where like because previously in the movie
2009.
Sigourney Weaver goes to transfer
Great
bodies
actor.
but it doesn't work and she dies, and they do the same thing with Jake Sully, and they like pan up on the blue guy's face and he's like looks like he's dead and then his eyes like wake up and then it cuts to black.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
so,
So
you're like,
there's a
oh
lot-
fuck.
I did not remember that.
she, Neytiri,
Maybe I should have watched the end.
Neytiri.
Wait, did you not watch the end?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I thought I remembered it all.
Fair enough.
Good. I thought you were gonna say something, John.
Oh
Yeah, John was talking away.
Yeah, I was gonna say like no, because kind of like to give credence to what Chris was saying, Neytiri does as his like soul is leaving his human form, she like gives him a kiss on each cheek, and then he transfers
yeah.
over to his not even avatar, to his Navi form,
His true form.
his
What else?
true form.
What do they keep? They say "I see you," right? Like throughout the movie. I thought that was cool. Like they say that like 4 times in the movie.
Yeah.
Because like "I see you" means like they see like more than just like your appearance.
Mhm.
And they say that all throughout the movie, and she says that at the end, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, and something I thought was funny is how much they like hate on this guy for being like crippled, and he and they live in a no, like you don't remember the beginning, like
Those
they hate
guys-
on him, like
Well, they called him Meals on Wheels, but
they
that
were
was
being
pretty
pretty
funny.
ableist at the beginning.
those guys, and then the even the what's her name, the doctor is like, are you gonna slow us down? Like you're not smart enough to be here. And it's like, Jesus Christ, guys, like he's just like his legs don't work. It doesn't mean he's an idiot. Like what the fuck?
He absolutely is
And-
an
and then-
idiot, but like
What's yeah, he's not an idiot. They don't
because
make him
his-
seem very smart.
his brother had like 4 PhDs or something like that. So like
Yeah.
everyone is kind of disappointed that his brother wasn't there. But yeah, well,
Yeah, he didn't shoot his brother though. He's probably upset his brother died too.
Yeah,
And they're
he
like
was.
really rude to him about it. But yeah, and that's the thing I was gonna say. They could just fix it. And
Yeah.
they just don't. He was like, "You can't afford that on military life insurance." It's like, what? They don't fix your life.
that was very
It's like the-
very funny.
It's the prime job where you lose your legs, and they just gonna fix them for you.
yeah,
As he's getting off
Yeah.
the ship, he comments on like
it's not even. Yeah. Okay.
health insurance fucking sucks, man.
That's pretty much what it was. And then the guy that like gets him off, the sergeant that gets him off the plane is like, "I'm not waiting for you." Like, and it's like, dude, like, why is he here? Why do you want him here then?
Because he was a genetic match. So
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
they were just picking on him for
Yeah, it didn't make any sense why everyone was like so. It's like, I'm gonna be a blue guy like in like 20 minutes. It's like I'm not
like they're all just being rude.
nothing
The
about
hell?
this job requires me to move at all. I
Yeah,
lay in a bed. For
I'm not running sprints.
16 hours.
Like,
There are clearly people on the ship who just sit at a desk all day anyway. So it's like, what the like? Why is everybody being?
and what I think is funny is because like in real life, like all the other soldiers would respect the hell out of a guy that lost his
Yeah.
legs doing what they're doing. They wouldn't be like, get him out of here. Like, just a very funny thing I noticed in the beginning of the movie. They just, I think, to try to be funny, like squeeze in jokes, but
Yeah.
didn't. It's very made you not like the people initially because it's like, wow,
Sure, yeah.
yeah, it's like, wow, you're all awful.
You could write characters to say very like disagreeable, like fucked up things.
Oh, I don't. Hey, if it's funny, I mean,
But like
it's a movie. It's not real.
It's the point of making that like this shouldn't, like, oh, what, I disagree with this in real life. Like they shouldn't depict this in this movie. Like, no.
Oh yeah, no, I don't mean that.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny, and it just felt like it felt like they weren't trying to make them come across that way, but that's real. Or they felt like it made sense that that's how those people would react, but like that's just not how a normal person would react. Like it felt like a movie thing.
Yeah.
The funniest
like
part
the new
of the
kid
movie-
joins the camp and everyone hates on him. Like,
No, yeah.
you're cool.
Well, no, yeah. I thought I would make sure you finished your thought, but the funniest part of the movie to me was the music that they played when they were all dying. I played it before. I don't know if I'm just gonna fucking play it again. I'll see if I have the video up. But it's in a bunch of like TikToks and like short videos like that.
When the guy's falling out of the plane.
Yeah, it's like it's like
Yeah.
it's the funniest fucking music. Like, oh, I got a couple ads to sit through. Never mind. But
Ruined
it's,
the joke.
Yeah, ruined the joke.
I'll
That
put
was
it-
so
I'll put-
funny.
I'll cut to it in the.
I'll
in the
play it
VOD.
there. His body rag. The funny thing about it is that's so funny because his body ragdolls so realistically,
Yeah.
and he looks like a giant toy. So like, watching him just die.
Dude, it literally looks like you're playing with like action figures.
It feels like you're
oh no,
watching
he fell.
like you're watching a cartoon. Like he just drops dead.
I mean, you are kind of watching a cartoon. It's animated.
Yeah.
It is, and it isn't. I don't think it wants you to think that, but it definitely
Yeah,
feels
no,
like
yeah.
that. I'm trying to think. What other some major plot points throughout the movie? Because I know there's the bird, the tree falling, them fighting back,
Yeah.
him, the ending with him dying and coming back.
Well, I guess like,
him.
I can make a point here. The structure of this movie, or the way that it plays out, the hero from a different culture coming into a new culture, a new world entirely, and initially being seen as a threat and ostracized by the people he's now a part of, and slowly over the course of the runtime, assimilating into their culture and becoming one of them to the point where he fights back against the threat, which those of which being the people that he comes from. I saw a lot of similarities to Dances with Wolves.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah. And not in a bad way at all. Like not derivative, but like clearly just like some overlap there. But I think it like it's like a good formula, I think, for a story. And like it's been done like a ton of times before as well, but that's where I like saw the most direct kind of inspiration probably.
That's one thing I actually did want to say, so I'm glad you brought it up, is it's an interesting thing about this movie with that topic, because that has been done a bunch of times. But when that happens, it's usually like the guy joins and is in a simulated and then like becomes their leader or their hero and stuff like that. And that doesn't really happen here, like a little bit, because like a lot of them kind of die and he becomes like kind of important. But he's not like their savior in this. Like he literally does become one in this. Like he doesn't just like figuratively assimilate into them. Like he literally becomes one, and they fight together to win. Like it's like he's never like their leader or anything like that, really.
Yeah.
He kind of is a little bit when he brings that big like orange flying dude, but you're right, he doesn't like become the king.
Yeah, he doesn't like become the king. He like leads the fight, and stuff, but it doesn't. I never took it as that's what they were saying, but and then the new movie could come out and I could be completely wrong.
Well, he's like gonna have to be because the king dies and that other guy gets like thrown off the helicopter.
You're right. So yeah, I guess he does.
I don't know what the chain of command is.
Yeah, maybe he will be the king, and maybe that is a false praise I just gave it, but whatever. But
we'll see.
I
That's
still
the
agree with that, where like they fight together to win. It's a very good standard. It is. Yeah, I don't know about what they're gonna do in the movie.
Did what happened to white nerdy guy?
Well,
he died.
His avatar form died. That was killed. But then that kind of comes back into like the way that I had mentioned earlier about how unique it is. Like there's two separate entities, but they are the same. Because like his avatar is killed, but he is still alive and goes out into the fight, and he's like out there shooting at the soldiers, and he survives at the end.
He gets shot like in the shoulder, and I think that's the last we see of him, right? Like I don't know if he dies or not.
I don't,
because the girl who flies the helicopter,
remember.
She for sure dies, dude. She gets blown the fuck up, so she's 100% dead. But I don't know what happens to the nerd.
Gets the shit killed out of her.
Yeah, she gets killed.
She did get the shit.
She was another one of those characters who her introduction, like it's so fast, like it happens in like 5 seconds, and it's all just like very obviously written dialogue. Like it's like she's not ad-libbing at all. It doesn't feel like a real human. This is a character in a script. This is a computer that is talking right now. And you know what's funny is she's just her character from Fast and the Furious, but instead of cars, it's a helicopter this time, like a helicopter thing.
That's where I've seen her before. I was like, she looks so familiar, but I can't like.
Yeah, she's the girlfriend, I think.
Yeah,
I think she's in it. I know that.
Part of Dominic Toretto's family.
Yeah. It'd be funny if he showed up in this movie as like a bulky, stocky Navi and just started crushing them. he rode in on a car.
Dude, it's literally the Family Planet, dude. How is he not there?
It really is. He should be there.
Yeah, they're all connected. Yeah, they're one giant family. Oh my god. All right, so a recurring motif, I guess you'll call it, like a visual motif, are a lot of fade to blacks that happen throughout this movie, which I found interesting because, like, you know, it's like a big budget, like modern sci-fi movie, but it has like that very classic movie, like fade to black after a like scene transition. And one that I thought was like kind of unintentionally hilarious was after Jake Sully and Neytiri have a tree sex. Or underneath the tree, or they like they become one.
They make the beast with 1,000 backs.
Yeah. Jake Sully wakes up from in his tanning bed, and he's like, "What are you doing, Jake?" Or something like that. He's like, "You can't do that," and it fades to black. And then like it transitions. It transitions into the bulldozers.
Yes, post nut clarity.
The bulldozers come in to tear down the forest.
He has fucking post nut clarity in his little tanning bed.
It's like, what are you doing, Jake?
Yo, blue woman, what are you doing,
on.
Jake?
And then it fades to black.
Wait. So him and the blue, what's her name?
Neytiri.
Yeah. They actually like they have sex in the movie.
Yeah.
You don't see, like they like kiss and like, you know, touch each other.
It's implied sex.
Yeah, and there's like
it's
romantic music playing.
Getting it on,
it slowly slides away, and then like I got it.
Yeah. There's like the mood lighting is not dissimilar to the way Nate has his lighting set up. Like it's real low blue, like purple lighting.
Purple, yeah. I gotta be honest, it's a nice.
It's a good vibe, right?
It's a good
but
scene, the way it plays out.
It's just funny that he has post nut clarity.
I actually, their relationship is actually like I think is a good relationship in the movie. Like it doesn't feel forced. I think they spend enough time. You're like, yeah, I think these people could get it on.
it plays out.
I think these people
that
would
was
get
my
it on.
first thought when they met. I was like, oh my God.
Oh,
She does
I hope they get together.
the classic female. Ooh, no, not him. Anybody but him. All right, that's where this is going.
That's something I actually wanted to say, talking about the scene transitions and stuff. Is this movie is one thing it is vastly missing is its own like flavor. Like it doesn't. Its story is pretty original, but in how the movie is made, there isn't anything super stylish to it.
It's
Like-
yeah.
Like I said, it's very streamlined. Yeah, it's made for the visual effects. Like the only time I feel like the character dynamics is like so fun and interesting is that one Sigourney Weaver and that one actor that's like the business guy that you said nondescript how much the stuff is worth. When they talk, like it's kind of interesting, but everything else is so like it's not like it's very quick. Like you're not that I'm not engrossed into it, and it doesn't feel like very snappy. Like the scene transitions aren't interesting. Like you watch like Scarlet Pilgrim where like everything blends into each other or something. It's not like that. It's like one scene then the next and then one scene and then the next. Like it doesn't have a lot of style to it, which I would say is part of the reason. Sorry, Sam.
No, go ahead. Good.
As I know we wanted to talk about this too, that it didn't stick around culturally. Like, because it could just be, it's just a very well-made standard movie. Like, I feel like there's a lot of other movies that have their own style to it that makes them stick out more now.
Yeah, the directing seemed to like kind of just cookie cutter. Like there wasn't like, you know, the visuals were like the whole reason that people saw this movie, honestly, because the story, it's like, okay,
it's a solid story. I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah. That's what. I feel like we've been ragging on this movie because it's just like funnier.
Avatar
It's fun to make fun of. It's fun to make. It's kind of the iPhone of movies. They got big around the same time,
but people just love it. Like
it looks the best.
Well,
it's just aesthetics.
I will take the iPhone of movies over the Android of movies. So
what's the Android of movies?
No,
I want to know.
It's not the iPhone of movies because like
I have an iPhone, so
it would be like whatever the flip phone everybody had. That's
Razr.
what it would be.
The Razr.
the fucking
Motorola Razr.
The Motorola Razr.
What about like the
Motorola Razr?
It would be like the BlackBerry. Yeah, like everybody had one, but it's like who the hell? Like,
everyone thought it was the future, and then no one used anything like that ever again.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good actually comparison. So
Not
because
the BlackBerry is like a good phone.
And the thing is, people still use iPhones. like no one uses Blackberries really.
iPhones and Marvel are very synonymous because it's like everybody just thinks they're like the best thing ever made, and then like
okay, so iPhones is Marvel, and
Avatar is the BlackBerry.
I like it.
Dude, it is
I
funny.
think that's a fair comparison.
A bit of a tangent, but it is funny when like Marvel movie people on Twitter watch like a legit really good movie and their mind is just like blown, like because they just like expect everything to be like this like cookie cutter 3-act shit.
Oh, it's super in-depth. They're like, this is so well written, or they're like, it was too boring. It's funny, you get the opposite reaction. If they get through it, they're like, this is the most insanely well written thing ever, or they're like, it was too boring. Like, fuck you. Like, you know.
I feel like, Sam, this film kind of paved the way probably for what would become the Marvel industrial complex.
It was like this and Iron Man. They came out like around the same time, and from just those two movies.
But I feel like this.
What do you mean
by that? Yeah, go ahead, Nate. What do you mean by that?
No, I just want to hear like more of, like the comparison of like this to like Marvel or whatever.
I would just go straight to like the dialogue in this movie specifically, and like kind of how they show off the CGI like real quick. Like I feel like it's not as long as we feel like Sam said, it feels like it goes on for too long, but like I said, they just like show it off, and for the time it was so amazing you didn't notice it, but now you kind of notice it. And the dialogue just being really snappy, like someone says something, they say something else, and it's not very like original. It doesn't feel, I don't feel like it ever feels like a real person would say that. Like it feels like
actually
computers talking in this movie for sure.
I don't think the dialogue in this movie is like created and like played up for like laughter. Like, oh, the audience is gonna love this movie.
Well, I'm not saying it for laughter in this one specifically, but it was like streamlined, like very quick information. Like it doesn't feel like there's any
Okay,
character
yeah.
to what they're saying. Like they're just spewing information at you. Does that make sense? Like in Marvel, that's why I said this in Iron Man. Like in Iron Man, it's more witty and funny. In this, it's just info dumping to you all the time.
I didn't really get that impression either, though. Like, at any point where there was information dumping, but it wasn't like dumping. It was like, at most, like a sentence or two, like, oh, that's the tree of life. It's this incredibly important biological
to be fair,
entity.
I only rewatched the first like hour and a half, 2 hours, and then was like, I'll remember the end. But
Here's
a
what
lot
I'll
of the
say.
beginning was like that.
I think this is where you're coming from, Nate. The thing that this movie did the best and that made it stand out was visual effects. And those visual effects, other people have been able to do like pretty quickly. Like there were movies that came out like 2012, 2013, 2014
Caught up
that had
faster than we expected.
Yeah, there are just movies that did it the same or better pretty quickly, and it made Avatar not really stand out as much as it did. So movies that have good visual effects, and then
Can you fault Avatar for that, or are you just
I'm just saying that's why it's not as memorable. That's why like nobody like remembers it too well. Like they remember seeing it and like experiencing it, but they don't. It's not like one of the all-time great movies. Because other people have done what it did best.
Maybe I haven't been describing my problem with the dialogue well. It's not even really a problem. It was just something I noticed with like I just didn't feel like attached to what they are like interested in what they were saying besides the information. Like it didn't feel like they were really acting, you know.
They were talking about the plot and not like their opinions of it.
Do you think a movie can be like an all-time great based off of like its technological advancements alone? And how above any movie before it. Okay, but what about like something like The Wizard of Oz, where there was no like color movies before that, and then suddenly like bam, oh my god, we have color movies now.
I would say,
but is The Wizard of Oz like is the story like does that make it stand out or like?
I think
it's a bit of both. I think you have to have. So you can have like the most futuristic or like the newest CGI and graphics and all that, but if it's not like original or it like the picture that you're showing doesn't stand out, it's not going to stick with you. Like I talk about like John would know this, you guys wouldn't, but it's like an older anime, Cowboy Bebop, and it's old and the animation is definitely not as good, but it's so well made that it doesn't matter. Like you don't even.
The animation's pretty darn good. I would
beg to differ. I'm saying it's not as good as like today though. Like you can tell it's not as good as it was, but it stands out so much because they put so much effort into making beautiful shots.
Why is a conversation for a different time? I've never.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the
notion
difference in
that
CGI.
old is bad and new is better.
I didn't say old is bad.
Time. No, other people say that.
Yeah. I'm like, wow. It just sounded like you're saying. I'm like, what did I say?
I'm not putting words in your mouth. Yeah,
to address what you said, Chris. I don't think that
other people said that.
I don't think that Avatar's visual effects revolution was as big as The Wizard of Oz introducing color to movies was. I get what the point you're trying to make, but it was like immediately. Like there were other movies that would have good visual effects, but also had like strong dialogue or like a stronger story. Not that Avatar's was really bad, but there were just other movies that did it better.
Yeah, it's a very serviceable story. It's serviceable to this at a lot of points very breathtaking visuals.
Yeah. I give it a 7 out of 10. I like the movie.
Yeah,
I do like the movie. It is hard to say it doesn't have a lot of crazy, striking visuals and stuff because, like, there is parts that are like, wow, that is gorgeous. Like, especially when they're flying on the, what are they called again, John? But they're the USB. Yeah, how do I keep forgetting that? They got the USB ports. But yeah, that is like a really cool scene to watch even today. So, honestly, there is like probably a conversation with like marketing for why it's like relevance didn't stick around, like because it came out in like 2009, but then that argument doesn't really work out because there's older movies that are still just as big, you know, that didn't have like crazy like social media platforms to keep its relevancy, you know.
Well, I mean, you know, the Lord of the Rings trilogy from the the turn of the millennium, those were also.
I think John's trying to set up the next movies we want.
No, not necessarily. No, but I want to say,
Great movies.
I do. That's a good point, because those movies, I'm pretty sure, collectively made over $1 billion, maybe $2 billion. I'm not sure, but
I hope they did.
Those were also very visually impressive and striking, but also told a really good story, and people remember those movies very fondly even today.
Yeah.
They're older than Avatar.
Yeah. And I don't know, like I said, I think it's just a lot of Avatar's problem is it doesn't stand out in any way. It does a lot of things that other things do really well, but not other than graphics really, or the CGI really the best. What does it do the best besides that?
Yeah, the dialogue isn't a knockout. The story isn't a knockout. Its core competency was its visual effects. And
there's some good acting, but nothing to blow you away. No character that's wow, that character was stand out the best thing I'd ever seen. But there was no that's me characters. Ryan Gosling wasn't in it, so it sucked.
There are I wish that was me characters.
There was no Sigma.
I want to be a Na'vi.
I wish I was.
There was no Sigmas in the movie.
Oh, you don't think the Na'vi were all Sigma males? That's another topic.
Maybe the guy who gets ragdolled, he was kind of cool.
He was cool. The cool guy's always got to die.
Yeah.
I think it's impossible for there to be a Sigma male in this society, Sam. They're too intertwined. There's too much family.
Society of betas.
And it is crazy though too, because there is obviously some clear Native American
Oh, sure, yeah.
symbolism in it, and you'd think that would add some style to it, but it doesn't really.
I wouldn't even say that there's kind of. I would say that is directly.
I should say that's directly what it is. And it is. I actually really enjoy that and think any Native American representation is obviously really good, which is messed up to say because it obviously really isn't, because it's not there's a lot of actors in it that you see that look like them. But yeah, that might be one of the problems with it. It feels original, but Dances with Wolves is pretty much the same plot,
Yeah, I mean, Dances with Wolves is a really, really fucking good movie.
It is a really good movie, but it's not the first time that plot's been done, and it doesn't do anything so different. Even it's just in a different, what is it called? Setting. It's just in a different setting, and it's
I
a
only
very
ever
cool
watched that movie
setting and
half
original.
asleep in what was that class called?
Lost Culture, Great War.
American History.
Oh my god,
Lost Culture, Great War.
Great War.
Yeah, half asleep, head down on the desk, watching Dancing with Wolves, hearing it in my
Good
ears,
movie,
but not
dude.
actually watching it.
Yeah, you're lost, Chris. That movie's really good.
Only time movie.
Yeah, you missed out. There was no wolves in this movie. Those wolves were cool.
Yeah,
Well, I guess there was wolves, but they weren't.
There was a wolf.
Yeah. What was Wolf's name in Dances with Wolves?
Two Socks.
No,
Tucson.
his Native American, his Comanche.
I did not remember.
His Comanche name was Dances with Wolves.
Yeah, no, his wolves had a name though, didn't it?
Yeah, the wolf's name was Two Socks because his paws were different colors.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh my god, I forgot all about that. That's a cute name, I gotta say. Cute.
He's awesome.
Oh,
The best part of that movie is when he introduces sugar to the Native Americans. And he puts his finger in it and licks it and he goes, "Oh my god!" grabs the shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, do you guys have any suggestions for next week's movie?
Well, I think I said I want to watch Warriors. Very good movie, filmed in Pittsburgh. Sam would love it. I think it has a lot of interesting topics to talk about. So
I guess I'll.
Chris, do you want?
Oh, sorry, Sam.
I was gonna say, Chris, if you just want to pull up the wheel,
and pick
pull up
first.
the wheel so we can decide who gets to
Who
pick
picks.
this movie. Oh my
Yeah.
god, I'm nervous.
I can't wait to see it. Chris, don't mess up the wheel. You can't.
I just
this is
figured
your
you
big
had it
moment.
ready.
You haven't
I'll
seen
set
and
the
you want to see.
precedent though. Here, the person that does make the recommendation for an episode does not go twice in a row.
Let's watch
Yeah,
the whale.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
What's the
The-
whale?
That's the
Brendan
Brendan
Fraser movie.
one.
Oh, I forgot. I haven't seen that. So
It just came out.
well, I definitely
I
haven't
don't
seen
think.
it. then.
I don't think it's. I don't think it's a way we could.
I definitely have heard of it. I thought it had been out, but I knew. Maybe I'm thinking of Tusk.
Is
Maybe that's
Oh,
why.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of Tusk.
We watched. Tusk.
Maybe I'm thinking of Tusk. We did watch Tusk. That
There's
was
whale. There's
that was
tusk.
a strange watch. There's the human centipede.
There's shark. There's water.
All right, come on, Chris.
There's
You
krill.
really want to watch Whale? I don't care.
Is
Whale.
Warrior on anything?
We could watch. What's the Chris Kyle movie?
Oh, American Sniper.
I have so many opinions
We should
about
watch
it.
American
Oh my
Sniper.
god!
I don't want to watch.
so
I don't want to
many
watch
things.
American.
I
don't
remember
wanna-
liking
opinions
it.
about
I
American.
don't.
We
I
should
don't want
watch-
episode 2 to be all political.
yeah,
I don't
good
want
I
that.
hate it. Yeah, episode 2 can't be political. That's an episode like 22 thing, not.
Episode 22.
Good point.
Fucking, is Warrior on anything, Nate?
Well, you mind if I look it up real quick?
What is
Go for it.
Warrior? I don't even know.
It is
It's
it's about it's not like a
MMA
UFC movie. It's an MMA movie, but it's so I'll give you like a basic synopsis about it.
Give
But
us the pitch.
it's two brothers who were
Two
estranged
brothers.
from
I was
when they were
thinking that,
kids
Chris.
because
Two brothers.
their
And,
dad was like
Mexican Armada.
their dad shut up. Their dad was like an alcoholic piece of shit when they were younger, and their plan was they were going to leave with their mother, but the older brother chose to stay because he fell in love. So the younger brother left with his mother, and they went and lived on their own. But the mom died and stuff, and then the younger brother ended up going to the Marines and stuff, and going through a bunch of stuff. And so they end up coming back into each other's lives, and he kind of hates his family for not kind of like helping him out with the mom. And he doesn't want to be friends with the dad, even though the older brother has like moved on. And they both end up fighting in this tournament to win a bunch of money. And I forget why the teacher needs it, or honestly the brother, but they need the money. That's all I remember. And it's a very interesting dynamic. It's very sad. It's a good movie. I would definitely suggest it. And let me see what it's on. I wish I had a better synopsis. I should have just read off the page.
I was gonna say, like, I don't know what this movie's about.
Netflix and HBO Max, I think.
Sounds like something to talk about next week.
Back to iTunes then.
It's two brothers like their dad was a drunk. They ended up estranged, and now they're both fighting in this MMA tournament to win a bunch of money and change their lives.
And
And
they
the one
fight each other in the championship game, and one of the.
I don't know. You got to get there.
Oh, you gotta get there, Chris. You gotta get there, Chris.
Yeah, you gotta
I don't
get to
want
that
to.
part.
I don't want to jump the gun. My bad.
I don't want to spoil it. I
It's,
know
uh,
Sam will
it's
really
Tom
like
Hardy,
this
right?
movie. It's Tom Hardy, and I
Tom
forget
Hardy,
the other
yeah.
actor's name, but he's very likable. The dad is, oh my god, what's the dad's name? It's a really good actor. Oh, it's gonna make
I
me so
know.
mad.
What's his
I go-
name is in that movie? He does the podcast with Brendan Shaw.
Nick Nolte's in it. Yeah, that guy.
What
What's
the fuck
his
is his name?
Nick Nolte's in it. He's the dad, and he kills it. It's so sad. I'll find his name. Brian Callen.
Yeah, Brian Callen. Yeah,
He's also a weirdo. He's on with Brian Shaw. Yeah, but Joel Edgerton. That's his name. He's the older brother. Yeah, Nick Nolte's in it, and he does such a great performance. It's definitely worth it. I think
Sounds
you
like a
guys will
next
really
week
like
thing.
it. It is a next week thing. That's the whole point of
Yeah.
the conversation we're having.
Well, I was
Yeah,
wrapping. I was wrapping up. I was putting. I was the period on the end of your sentence.
Chris can't wait to get out of here.
Chris is trying to end the stream so fast. But he had to poop halfway through, and he's been trying to sabotage it ever since.
I don't want people not watching next week because you already told them everything there is to know this week.
Well, they'll just have to find out next week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fucking Film Friends
didn't spoil
episode
the movie.
1.
I think it was a good, solid episode. A lot of fun conversations.
This is gonna be Film Friends, right?
For now,
I like Film Friends. I like. Film
I
Friends.
think it's a good name.
We're- okay,
I
so
made
Let
me
me
laugh.
say, I
pretty-
love the idea
pretty hard.
of me not watching the movie and just
Yeah.
trying to
Shut
figure out
up,
what the
Chris.
movie is
Shut up.
about.
You just don't want to watch the
throwing
movie.
out random metaphors.
You just do
Sam
not
doesn't
wanna
wanna-
Is
watch
this
the
movie like the iPhone? It's a really you know what I
Sam-
mean?
It sounds like Chris doesn't want to do
Without
his
actually
homework.
watching the movie.
Yeah,
Chris is trying. Chris is trying not to do his homework.
No,
We're
this
just-
format. We found the format. Like that's all I'm saying.
Adding a 2-hour movie just doubles Chris's workload for the week. So he just doesn't want to do it.